Hello, everyone. Let's continue with our discussion of racism. And one of the things that needs to be understood regarding the nature of racism is that there are two types of racism. Both of them are bad. Both of them represent problems. But the basic difference involves intent. And let me go ahead and introduce you to the two types. You have benign racism and malignant racism. Now, the words benign and malignant are often most frequently heard, at least in the context of medicine. You may have heard a characterization of a benign tumor or a malignant tumor. And the idea then is that a benign tumor is a tumor that won't kill you. It may bother you, it may cause pain, discomfort, but it will not kill you. A malignant tumor is deadly. A malignant tumor is a tumor that can kill you, and it has to be removed. Those people who get diagnosed with a malignant tumor, well, then those are the people who will be end up experiencing surgery where the doctors will try to remove that tumor from the person. So again, it's useful to have those kinds of understandings of these words in mind when we apply them to racism. So again, benign racism is racism. It is uncomfortable, it's insulting, it's degrading, but it is not deadly. And benign racism is a problem because it's not as clearly understood. Most often, people use the word, simply make a reference to racism without parsing the word in the way that I'm doing here. And you hear somebody, you might imagine a conversation, an uncomfortable one, where someone says, "You're a racist," and the other person says, "I am not." But they are. Chances are, if that is the exchange, the person who is being accused of racism is benignly racist. Let me try to explain. Benign racism is the result of lack of knowledge, lack of experience, lack of exposure. It's when we hear things about other people who are different than ourselves, and we hear mischaracterizations, and we repeat them. And the problem then is, for those who express benign racism, in many respects, they don't mean to be insulting. They don't understand the insult. They don't understand the degradation. And so, more than likely, and this proves to be the case more consistently than not, someone who is benignly racist, if they are corrected, they change their behavior. Because again, they're not intentionally trying to be insulting. They're not intentionally trying to be degrading. And when they suddenly realize that that is what they've been, they learn. And so let me try to give you some examples of benign racism. Benign racism that includes common stereotypes. So, for example, you may have heard someone say something to the effect of, wow, those blacks, they sure can dance. Okay. Maybe that's the case. But if a black person can dance extremely well, it has nothing to do with their skin color. It's not their skin color that is the source of their talent. The source of their talent is their skill, their dedication, their commitment to their art. That's what makes them an excellent dancer. And another one, wow, blacks are sure good athletes. Again, if a black person is a good athlete, their ability as an athlete has nothing to do with their skin color. So what is inappropriate is the focus on skin color. Just try to exclude that from any thought process. And again, here's the thing. If someone does say something like, wow, those blacks sure can dance. Wow, blacks are great athletes. In their mind, they're paying a compliment. And again, it's simply a lack of understanding in the sense that, again, they do not understand the insult. They don't understand the degradation. And so, again, benign racism is a treatable condition. And there are a lot of people, a large number of people who are benignly racists. And again, they don't understand that because they're not malignant racists. Malignant racism is the problem that is destroying us as a nation. Malignant racism is when people are so racist that they justify violence, intimidation, killing, destruction of property. Okay? That is malignant racism. And again, what is more than likely the case when somebody is called a racist, they think of malignant racism because that's the one we hear about. That's the one that makes the news. Okay? I mean, it's not something that you would hear on the news for the newscaster to say, well, Bob Smith's uncle said something really stupid over Thanksgiving dinner. That's not news. But someone who commits an act of violence that is motivated because of their racial hatred, that's news. So what we're always hearing about, understandably, is malignant racism. And so when people then make an expression that is ignorant, that is benignly racist, and someone says, you're a racist, that's when they go, no, I am not. Because, again, yes, they've said something ignorant, but they would never hurt another person. They would never intentionally even insult somebody. So again, we've got to understand the degrees of racism. And the purpose of, again, highlighting malignant racism is that this is the cancer. Malignant racism is the cancer. And that's what we've got to get rid of. Again, educational systems can cure racism, can cure benign racism. Let me give you an example. I in one of my classes a few years ago that I taught on campus, I had an African American student, and when I was talking about these two types of racism, he shared a story from his own experience. When he started high school, he joined the basketball team, and he met another student on the basketball team, a white student. And at one point, when they had just met, they were both about 14. The white student said, "Oh, you like basketball because you're black." And it's like his reaction was, no, I like basketball because I like basketball. Now you can imagine where the white kid grew up in a household and probably parents, brothers, basketball fans, and they make comments on how many African Americans play basketball. And so he grows up in an environment where he makes that association. It's a baseless association. But again, it's not something that would cause physical harm. So then, as it turns out, he explained, they became best friends. And so again, that's the kind of thing that can happen. But malignant racism is a disease. It is an indication of a diseased mind, and it's not a treatable condition. In all seriousness, a person who is malignantly racist, you can't have a conversation with them and convince them that they're wrong. All they will do is dig in their heels. And if the only way to stop this is to punish them when they cross the line and have destroyed property, injured somebody, and to correct them publicly whenever possible, isolate them. Again, malignant racism has existed for a long time. And it is something that has remained consistent, but you find periods when the majority of us have created an environment where any kind of public expression of malignant racism is unacceptable. And as a result, even those who are malignantly racist hold back. But what happens periodically is that breaks down. And what we're dealing with today is there are simply too many politicians in this country who benefit politically by reaching out to malignant racists, which then emboldens them, encourages them, and they become more public with their malignant attitudes. And so, again, making this distinction is not, and let me repeat that, it is not to even suggest that benign racism is acceptable, is okay. It's not. Again, but it's how you deal with it that makes the difference. How you respond to it. That's what makes the difference. And again, if you think about what I'm saying, you can correct yourself. And just simply take the mention of skin color out of it. But again, malignant racists, they're a lost cause. And again, this is a malignant attitude because